Hello everybody, welcome back to the Daily Kerbal, where I am going to, it's actually starting to kind of be bi-daily Kerbal due to my recent uploads. What you need to know about that is that I'm trying to sort of diversify the Let's Plays by, first of all putting Hungarian gameplays up there too, just in case there's a group of people who want to watch that. I've been playing some XCOM, I've been playing some other games, and I've also been making a couple of longer, a bit more edited videos. The recent one that I made was it was one made for the Hungarian audience, describing and using Kerbal Space Program as a demonstration tool, the flight of Apollo 11, and how the moon landing was achieved. So I've been doing those kinds of stuff. I got inspired recently to do things like that, but now that we've successfully landed on Duna, and I feel like I kind of got a grasp on all of this interplanetary spacefaring stuff right now, I kind of feel like the game is getting a bit stale for me in terms of its variety. Like, I've been swimming in cash, I've been swimming in reputation, and all of that stuff, and I'm kind of feeling right now at this point like I need to up the ante, and I need to sort of change up the difficulty settings to add a little bit more challenge into my life. Basically, here's what I did. I'm going to show you my settings, and I've modified the settings a bit here. I've basically halved the funds and reputation rewards. Reputation rewards is actually now at 60%, but basically have it, and I have doubled reputation and fun penalties. Science doesn't really matter anymore because we're a single technology away from unlocking everything on the tree. But funds and reputation are still something that are we kind of need to be worrying about. We have so much of both that I actually feel like I could decrease fund rewards even more if I wanted and still not have much problems. But I wanted to do that. Wanted to make the game just a little bit more difficult. It would probably be more prudent for me to start from the beginning again and see if I can accomplish all this with all that difficulty the way it is. But right now, this is how we're going to do it. So I don't actually want to start over, obviously. Basically, what this means is that I'm going to have to start being very meticulous about which contracts I accept. I'm going to have to accept a lot of contracts that I don't want to do, just because I'm going to have to do stuff to pay the bills. Also, it's going to mean that I need to be more efficient with my piloting. It's going to mean that I'm going to need to be more efficient with the spacecrafts themselves. And I'm going to have to start focusing on the same thing that modern day space programs are focusing on, which is reusability. And in that spirit, I have picked up a contract to put a satellite into space. It's a satellite that is not. It's into Kerbin orbit. Based on the specifics for the orbit it wants me to put it in, it doesn't look like something that's too difficult, but it should be something good enough for me to test out. Something that I talked about in one of my previous episodes that I wanted to do was to see if I could replicate the Falcon 9 launch and build a rocket that launches its payload out into lower orbit and then lands so that the rocket itself can be reused. Now, I'm going to go into the vehicle assembly building, and I'm going to... I think I did something like this a while ago in sandbox mode. Let me see if it saved that ship. It would have been an auto-saved ship. No, it did not save it. That's right, because the last autosave ship was me trying to fix up the Whitebird. Anyway, so basically that means that we're going to have to build one. Now, I'm actually going to start by building the rocket itself and not the satellite. It's been a while since I've showcased, and actually recorded some of the building that I do, but we might as well do some of that too. I'm going to start with a big rocket fuel tank. I'm going to put some more rocket fuel on it. And then, actually, to kind of put that in the middle, I'm going to put a command and control module, put some reaction wheels over there, and then I'm going to put one of my new probe cores. Where are you? This one. I'm going to put my new probe core here, which now that I think about it, I think it has reaction wheels of its own. 1.5 torque, whereas this one does 30 torque. Yeah, so, more torque is kind of better. Oh, and power. As long as we got these large size pieces, we might as well use them. There. That's rather nice. And then I'm going to use another fuel tank. I'm going to put this up here. This is the smallest of the Rocco membrane fuel tanks. And I'm going to turn this one off, which basically means that the engine that I put on the bottom of this rocket is not going to be getting fuel from this tank, because I want the fuel left in this tank to be the fuel that I use to land. I'm not going to do this entirely the way SpaceX does it, because SpaceX people are smart and I am not. What I am going to do is I'm going to put, obviously, a stack separator up here. No, never mind. I'm going to put a payload, some fairing up here like that, and then I'm going to put the stack separator inside that. So basically that's going to work, okay? And then our satellite is going to sit on this. It's going to be covered by a payload, by a fairing. And then basically all this has to do, all I want to do with this is I want to launch it up into orbit, and I want to bring it back. I want to land it somewhere, or even just landing it in the ocean would be fine. But if I could put it down somewhere on dry land so I could see if I can actually land a rocket, that'd be really cool. I think it makes sense that I use the mainsail engine for this rocket. That just seems right. It's a big engine, but I think I can still get lander legs to work on it somehow. And maybe use one of these structural pieces here and flip it like that, yeah? There we go. I could actually just, in order to make it easier to place, there. Yeah, I like that. For this purpose of aerodynamics, see if I can't move it inwards a bit. That shouldn't get in the way of the engine, I hope. And then take the lander legs, largest lander legs that I got. I actually don't need pieces that big. What else could I use? Maybe this one? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, sure. There, got some of those. It looks a bit better now. And then I'm going to put the lander legs. Put the lander legs on that. It looks like it touches down. In fact, I'm sure it does. But just to be sure, I am going to move this down a bit. A bit more. Can I just move this down a bit? Yeah, that's good. And obviously we want it to start retracted. There. So, this is basically a rocket that can orient itself once it gets back down, and then it can land on legs on the ground. Now, the next thing that I'm thinking about is using some of these Werner engines on the top of it. Kind of help, maneuver it once it gets down below. But again, just because I don't feel comfortable using nothing but rocket propulsion to slow it down, I'm going to use parachutes. I'm going to put 2 radial parachutes on the side of this. I mean, it costs 400, it's 800 credits total. Anyway, so let's take a look at this right now, okay? Basically, this is 40,000 credits that regularly, obviously, if it was just a rocket, then it wouldn't have the probe core, it wouldn't have any of that stuff. Where's the probe core? Yeah, probe core is 3,000. So, like, if I remove all this stuff, here, give me a sec. Okay, so it's basically 30,000 credits, 10,000 credits worth of guidance units and stuff to get it running. Well, basically we're talking about a 40,000 credit piece of equipment that we would essentially just drop into the ocean and never use again. One more thing maybe that's interesting to see is if I empty this, right, it was 40,000 credits a minute ago. If I empty all of these fuel tanks, that should give us an idea of how much the fuel costs, right? it costs about 4,000. It's a tenth of the entire price of the rocket is the fuel itself. So it is actually vastly preferable. Like, the fuel isn't that expensive at all compared to the equipment. Right? 40,000 and 36,000 empty. That's 36,000 credits worth of equipment that we get back and that we can reuse. And then obviously the next thing we're going to have to do is build the probe. See what it wants from the satellite. New unmanned probe that has an antenna, can generate power, designated orbit, have a gravioli detector. So all it needs is a gravioli detector. So once again, we can use all this new equipment that I got. Let's have it piloted by a Terrier. I suppose I could actually see if these ion engines are at all useful. That's good for very tiny probes, I think. Ah, well. We'll just stick with liquid fuel. We're proficient with the use of liquid fuel. Take that. Then take the probe core itself. This is the brand new one that we got. It's the Hex Mark II. And just a little bit more fuel on the top of it, just to give it a nicer look. And we want to add communications array to the top of it. And what else did it need? It said it needed to generate power. It's got the antenna. This thing has a battery capacity of 1,000 charges. I don't actually think I need to put more on there. It also has reaction wheels. What's the stats on the torque for this thing? No, this is not this one. The pods. 10. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine for this. It just needs some solar panels. So let's put some of the 1x6 solar panels on the side. There we go. That's pretty much all that this needs, except for the gravioli detector, obviously. There we go. One's enough. There. All right. Hopefully the fuel supply that it has is going to be enough to get it out into where it needs to be. It's going to be a tough call. But I suppose the important thing right now is, and the reason that we're doing this is just to see if we can make a rocket that lands. Like, that's the purpose here. So I'm gonna check my staging one last time. Main engine fire. Where's the main engine? No. This is the engine that fires first. Main engine fires. Then we have the decoupling of the fairing. And then basically the engine launching and the... Yeah, that looks good by itself. And then the parachutes are our last thing. Okay, so I actually don't like the fairing, excuse me. Let's build it there. There. Okay. Neat. So this is my first attempt at creating a reusable rocket. It's going to be doing nothing but putting a small satellite. Let's take a look at, by the way, what the satellite statistics are. Yes, the satellite costs us about 20,000 credits, and it weighs... Okay, we can see 61 tons, and without the satellite, it's 58 tons. So, satellite's about 3 tons in total for a 60-ton rocket. It's supposed to send it out there. I mean, should be interesting. Did I just mess up the... I did totally mess up the staging with that. That's fine. Main engine fires. Doot. Fairing goes first. Yeah, there we go. And I'm going to call this... I don't want to rip off SpaceX. I'm not going to call it the Falcon, but I am going to call it the Osprey. It's Osprey 1. Reusable rocket test. Hungarian guy trying to write in English. Okay, so I think that's good, right? Do I actually no? I still need a comms antenna on the rocket because that's going to be landing too. Okay, I'm going to save it. Let's roll it out into the launch pad and see if it works. And so this is stage one of the whole reusable rocket idea. Next thing is probably going to be, I'm going to redesign the launch version, the pad launch version of the Whitebird. See if I can't do the same thing with that, make a several stage rocket that can be recovered. And then I suppose the next step is to build large-scale rockets that will land themselves, or at the very least drop back down with parachutes so we can recover them. These are kind of the challenges that actual modern-day space programs face, and that's the reason that I'm so intent on trying to get this thing working. Just because the game has kind of stopped challenging me right now. I suppose the next challenges are going to come from planets that are farther away and on different courses. Not to mention, different missions like asteroid redirections and stuff like that. I still can't wait to see what new contracts are going to emerge from our use of. Supposedly when we get up to that blue phase of reputation, we should be getting some newer contracts, I think. Anyway, for now, let's just see if I can succeed in this area. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we got liftoff. SAS is active. We're speeding up quite fast. We don't need to burn fuel that much. Just make sure that I do have this. I do have that fuel turned off. That's going to be our reserve fuel that we're going to use for landing. Considering we have parachutes mounted on the side of it, it's probably more than we need, but, Okay. We're accelerating at a pretty decent rate, so I don't need to worry about burning fuel that quickly. Stage U is not helping us here, so I might as well just remove that. There we go. Start my gravity turn a bit early. Mainsail is pushing us at a very nice pace. I'm tipping a bit because I'm now also realizing that I forgot to put wings onto the bottom of this. We'll see if that counts. We'll see if the wings are necessary, because the gimbal of the engine right now is pushing us well enough. I imagine the torque wheels are also helping out. There we go. So, I mean, we're doing rather nicely. We are launching in complete pitch black again because I forgot to warp to morning. Shouldn't really matter. Oh, it's not going to matter in terms of, flight navigation or anything. It's just, this is not particularly interesting for you to watch, I imagine. Not that anything that I do is particularly interesting to watch. We want to keep gaining speed. How's our course looking? Not bad. Keep aiming a little bit lower. Had a very funny episode that occurred with my father recently. It's not that recent, actually, but a while ago, back when there were some Falcon 9 launches. It's going to be even longer when this episode is uploaded, but it happened a few weeks back, and my dad he's very supportive of my strange space exploration craze, and he excitedly shared with me the story of the Falcon 9 launch to carry satellites into low Earth orbit. The Hungarian article involved with the one that reported on the event had the front page title saying Falcon 9 SpaceX's rocket launched into orbit and launched objects into orbit and landed in pitch black on the sea. It's a pretty impressive thing when it sounds like that. But the funny part of the story is that my dad sent me this article, and my response to him was, "Yep, I know. I was watching it live." It's kind of funny. Okay. So we have an orbit. We have a suborbital space flight. It's pretty good. And the rocket's carried it pretty far. We're still not using any of this fuel, right? Okay, so that indicator is showing me how much fuel is left in these 2 units. We're doing well. We're going to run out of fuel right now. There we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to leave us like that. I'm going to pitch us in this direction, like so. I'm actually going to wait until apoapsis. We're going to slow down a bit, but that's fine. And right about now, I'm going to deploy the fairing, and I'm going to extend this antenna. There we go. And I'm just going to hit space and see what happens. Nothing has happened. Okay, let me switch over to the probe. The probe, I said. And now, first things first, let's make sure that this probe makes it into orbit. We can worry about the specific orbital trajectory later. For now, let's just see if we can get it into orbit at all. And there might not be enough fuel left in this to successfully get to the required orbit. Honestly, I don't really care. Should also extend the panels. There we go. All I really want with this is to test the rocket itself, which, by the way, is still drifting out there on a suborbital trajectory. And I'm almost certain right now that there's not going to be enough fuel to... I mean, look at that. That's what we need to reach. Not very likely. But you know, you never know. You do know that you never know. NASA does stand for never absolutely sure of anything, so... 60, 70, all right, we have stable orbit. Excellent. Now, switch over to the Osprey. Switch 2. Now comes the hard part. I have to orient this to retrograde. Hope the rocket doesn't burn up in re-entry. And now basically we can activate this fuel canister. The hope is that we... Yeah, no, we're not landing on dry land, so this is basically going to be me putting down this rocket in the middle of the ocean. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter as long as we can recover it. As long as the device itself is recoverable, we are good. Okay. So we have 360 units of liquid fuel still at our disposal. I am going to engage the RCS for some added stability. And I am considering slowing our descent a little bit. But I might wait until we actually get some aerodynamic. There we go. Okay, let's just tap the thrusters. There we go. Slowing down. Okay, RCS thrusters are now actually working a bit. Let's kick it up. Coming in pretty quickly here. Engine is now in danger of overheating. I'm going to switch it off. I'm actually going to turn off the RCS so that the engine can flip over. Oh no, look, we're good. We're good. Okay. Never mind. Keep us at retrograde. Alright. I want my parachutes. Give me my parachutes. I need them quickly. Save what fuel we have left and hope that aerodynamics slows us down. No, I need to... There we go. Alright, parachutes. Well, alright. So... Yeah, this rocket would never have landed on its own power. That much is for certain. I might have needed to have some extra fuel ready for it. Maybe the RCS, maybe these are, I should have put some monopropellant on there instead of having the RCS thruster that used the liquid fuel. But I mean, it has the parachutes on it, so that's good. And basically, the only reason that we needed the fuel in the first place was to slow down our descent so that we weren't going too fast to open the chutes. Alternatively, I might consider why did that just happen? That was very weird. So apparently we were coming in too quickly for the large fuel tank. So let's see what happens if I click recover. If this had landed on dry land, we would have been fine. It's just the ocean that screwed us here. So we recovered. Can I get like a total? 13,000 funds recovered. So we did actually lose a lot of money from the loss of the giant fuel tank. But we did get back more than we would have if we didn't try this. I'm wondering if those legs that I saw sinking down to the bottom were also... Yeah. So there is some more to be recovered. Oops, no, I meant to push. Sorry, both of those buttons were green. That's what confused me. Right, so back to the... Can I just recover it from here? Yeah, I can, but might as well just go back to the tracking station. Moving over the surface game cannot be saved at this point. Leaving now will set you back to the last save state 3 seconds ago. Yeah, sure, fine. Okay, so... recover... 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 recover. Alright. And then the last thing that we need to do is see if we can get the satellite out to that orbit, which I don't think we can, because I didn't put nearly enough fuel on here to do it. But we'll see. Alright. Wait until periapsis. And start speeding up. There's hope. Again, I mean, worst comes to worst, we're not going to be able to put a probe out there, and we'll just have to try again. That's fine, because I'm basically categorizing the rocket recovery system as a failure for now. But I think that there are ways that we can fix it. I do think that it's something that's worth looking into a bit more. Let's get us out there a bit quicker. Almost. Oop. Alright, it's 23. That's fine, okay. Speed up to apoapsis, please. Alright. And now once again, start expanding in the other direction. It looks like we'll make it. Probe's not going to have much left in it, but... Okay, now we got to sort of move it in the radial in direction, I believe. There we go. And then lastly, anti-normal. There we go. Probe's out. So, yeah, I mean, what can you say? This was my first attempt, and I resisted the urge to revert the flight when it didn't work out. Obviously, because I suck at science, I don't have the option of calculating exactly how far the rocket's going to fly and put a barge out there. Kerbal Space Program does actually have hydrodynamics that work, so I could build a boat, and I could, carry it all the way out there to where the rocket's likely to land, but I'm probably better off building a rocket with a little bit more fuel so that it will more likely land on dry land. If that rocket had landed over solid ground, then we would have been off a little better. So, conclusions for today's episode is that this whole rocket recovery project is something that we can work on. It's definitely something that we had a very good start to it. See if I can pick up another satellite quest. We got tourists, we got... Another Sentinel infrared telescope quest. Long range relay in an adjusted orbit of Kerbin. Here we go. Yes, this is what we'll do next time. Accept. All right. And so then, once again, to repeat the conclusions, we're going to continue along this path for now. So take a little break from the interplanetary travel and get to work on making our space program a bit more efficient. Also kind of, tackle some of the modern-day space exploration problems, stuff that modern space programs are working with. We are going to continue with the reusable rocket idea. We need a bit more fuel in it so that we can more precisely not just, try to get it on a suborbital trajectory that will put it over dry land, but also preferably a bit more fuel, a bit more control during the descent is what we need. We need to be able to have the rocket, first of all, make sure the engine doesn't overheat, and then find a better way to maybe even, slow it down during that parachuting phase with some more monopropellant thrusters and not have to use liquid fuel, because we used up all the liquid fuel, as we saw, to slow it down so that we could use the parachute in the first place. So we'll continue working on this, and it's definitely going to be the subject of the next episode. For now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Hope you learned some interesting things, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye-bye.